Welcome back to Mass Appeal. You are the only person who can empower yourself and take control of your life. But we all know sometimes it can be hard. Here to make it easier is Jeff Londraville. He's the author of The Filter. I think when people's lives get derailed, when they have a situation that kind of throws them off their kilter, that's when everything starts to go awry, and that's when it can be really hard to come back.
Right, and we got to go back to the rule of it's what 20% is what happens to you and 80% is how you respond to things. And we've heard that before, and some people have heard that, but really that's what it's all about. Life will happen to you. Bad and good things will happen to you, but it's how you respond to that that'll make all the difference in the world of yourself and your family's health all together.
So you have some great tips for us today to help us empower our lives, take our lives back. The first one, though, is interesting. It's to allow yourself to be vulnerable.
Right. People look at vulnerable as in weak. If you're vulnerable, then you're weak and people can hurt you. And it's actually quite the opposite. If you're strong in who you are and strong in your beliefs, to be vulnerable is to let the love in, to let good people in. If you're not vulnerable, they can't come into your life. Your life cannot become better. So, you know, it goes back to my book, The Filter, is to get any bad stuff out, you got to actually filter that out and then become vulnerable to the world. Now, that doesn't mean you become not intelligent to the world or anything like that. You still, you know, you look at what I should do and what I shouldn't do in life, and you be careful. But let people into your life. To be vulnerable is really huge because that's the love out there that you're just kind of shunning out because you're too fearful of it.
That's a really good point. Yeah, if you live in a bubble, you're going to be static. You're never going to change.
Right.
It's when you let the love in, and you also let some bad in too. But you need to let the good in to have the bad.
Right. It's all how you respond to things.
Now, the next thing is you need to know that you can walk away.
Right. A lot of people don't understand this. They think, well, I'm in this situation. I can't get out of it. I have no control over it. This is what he does to me, she does to me, whatever the situation is. You know, no one should be able to control your feelings. And that's really, really important. No one should tell you how to think or feel for the most part, especially when it comes to your own thoughts and your own mind and your own health, because that's very important. So to walk away, people need the strength to walk away. So what you do over your life either makes you better, stronger, or weaker. So every time you're going through something, you need to look at, is this making me stronger or weaker to respond to the next thing? And can I walk away? Do I have the strength and the vulnerability to walk away from the person? Because that's strong to do.
And it's the hardest thing that anyone can do sometimes.
Right.
Next thing you need to know is your worth. And it's funny, how do you determine what you're worth? And what does worth mean, really?
Right. One of the things I always say, and I always say to my daughter, and I'll say forever, is you teach people how to treat you. And I say that a lot, and I hope it gets through a lot. And I'll say it one more time. You teach people how to treat you, because I don't think people realize that. People treat them a certain way, and they go, where did this come from? Why are they acting this way to me? Now, that doesn't mean people aren't going to be unfair to you. That happens in life. But for the most part, you teach people how to treat you by the way you carry yourself, the way you talk, the way you dress, all that kind of stuff. And to understand that is more control. And if you have that control and that strength, you can then go into your mind account and actually withdraw some good stuff. But you got to have that good stuff in your mind to actually withdraw from. So that takes time over a while, getting rid of that bad stuff and holding on to that good stuff and learning from it.
And I think that good stuff is a part of a mission, and that's your next tip. It's that you need to know that you're on a mission, and I think, A, you need to define what that mission would be, and then not let yourself get deterred from it.
Right. And I like the way you brought up the word define. Anything that happens to you in your life, a lot of people, when bad things happen to them, it defines them. It should actually be the opposite. You should define your own life and not let that bother you. But that's easier said than done. I know that, and I'm sure a lot of viewers out there are saying that. But what happens is you need to take control of your life, or life will happen to you. How do you do that? And what you want to do is basically look at everything and say, okay, how do I do this? How do I take control of my life? How do I then put things aside and then get a hold of things as well? So that's very, very important that you look at it in a way of, I have more power than I think I do.
And if you know what you want out of life, then it's more easy to delineate if this is a good thing or if this is a bad thing, and should I let this in or not?
Right, and part of the mission is finding out what your mission is. So if you look at things that happen to you, and if they're bad things that happen to you, and you go, oh my God, that's made me so much worse, that's made things so much difficult, you're beating yourself down and you're becoming weaker, not stronger. If you look at that as, it happened to me, it's now my responsibility, not my fault, but my responsibility because it happened to me. What do I then do with it? And I have a way of looking at things now, and this takes time because I've been through plenty of trouble in my own life, and this takes time to understand is when something happens to you, to find out your mission, look at what happened to you and see if you can make sense out of it, whether it's a day later, a week later, years later, and say, can I help somebody maybe going through this? Maybe this is my mission, to do this job, this work, or help this person. Maybe that's all missions we have on an everyday basis.
Now, Jeff, unfortunately, we're out of time, but I think that leads into the next thing. If you want to figure out what your mission is, you need to turn off your distractions.
Right, right. This is so important. I mean, that's why this show is so awesome. And this show gives you advice and gives you information. It doesn't give you all the bad stuff constantly, boom, 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 boom. And I know news is important because we want to be informed of life. But to actually get overwhelmed with it, you become thinking about the negative. Whatever you hear a lot, whatever you see a lot, you become. And you want to watch that because that can really make things difficult for you. So you want to be able to walk away from that stuff as well, because the distractions are very difficult to understand, especially for children. So you're constantly trying to tell them, well, this is how the world works, but it can be good. This is how the world works, and this can happen. So you want to walk away things and show the good stuff in life. So make sure you have a nice balance in life, because if you don't have balance, you'll become off balance, and your family will come off balance, and they won't win.
Well, Jeff, you just made my day. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you.
You've empowered me. Go out and empower yourselves too, and head on.